Welcome friends, the newest edition of Seahawkers What If, the most unique Seahawks preview show in the multiverse. I am your host, Clinton Bonner, and I am, of course, joined by the one, the only, the great Brandan Schultz. And it would not be, we could not traverse the Seahawks multiverse without the protector of the multiverse, and that is Mr. Phil Leidick. Boys, there's real football on. We're live. Seahawks play in a couple of days, and we get to preview a real game on What If. Are we fired up, Mr. Phil?
Yes! We finally have real football. Real NFL Seahawk football. An exciting season. New coach. First time in a very, very long time. We were much younger men when we had a different coach before we got the last coach. I don't know what that means, but I'm stoked. I'm stoked to see what it looks like. We can't know what it looks like until we see it for real. How about you, Brandan?
I'm excited to see it, and I am excited, especially after, listening to all the press conferences leading up to this week. Everybody's kind of answering the same question from reporters. What do you feel like this is going to look like? And we're getting a lot of similar answers about how guys are just excited to show us what it looks like. So it's going to be fun. We have an exciting defense that we get to watch, and hopefully an exciting offense too. There's just a lot of excitement.
Oh, yeah, I think it could be explosive on both sides of the ball. In fact, I know it can be. And if folks have never joined us for a Seahawkers What If, well, what you need to know is that Mr. Phil comes up with an amazing theme literally every single week, a handcrafted, mind-crafted, heart-crafted theme. And then he shares not just the theme, but these unique questions back and forth for me and Brandan to answer. And through that, we end up previewing the game, and we think a really fun and unique and formulaic way that we just think is really a lot of fun to do. So with all that too, remember, if you are watching this for the first time or the 100th time, but you don't already subscribe, pretty darn simple, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast, hit the like, hit the subscribe, super easy, super fun way to help us, and just drop those comments too. Drop the comments, not just while we're live. After the video is done being live, go back to YouTube, drop your comments on what you like, what you hated. We don't care. It's all good. Helps feed the algorithm and spread the Hawkera, spread the love for the 12s. Brandan, anything I missed there before we turn it to Mr. Phil?
I'm ready to get started, man.
Oh, me too. All right, Mr. Phil, this is your show, dude. I might be the quote-unquote host, but you are the protector. What is our theme coming into week one, the 2024 season versus the Denver Broncos?
Let's get it started. I don't know how much longer I can keep coming up with themes. We're going to keep trying. I actually had a couple choices because this is game one for Mike Macdonald, and I saw a lot of people in our Discord would do M&Ms. So that's the route that I went. Wonderful, melt in your mouth, not on your hand, M&Ms. I almost did like Golden Arches McDonald, but we're not sponsored by them yet. If they sponsor us, then we'll do that. I guess M&Ms should sponsor us since we're doing M&Ms for Mike Macdonald. It had to be a theme around our brand new coach, though, right? I mean, it's there's what else could we possibly do? We're discovering what it's going to look like for a Mike Macdonald team. I like. No, Xavier Worthy is fast. Oh, I don't know what that was about. Something jumped up on the screen.
Well, it was
I like
M&Ms from the chat. I was throwing it in there.
Do you understand it, Brandan? What that comment was?
Xavier Worthy. He's really fast. He plays for the Chiefs. There's a game going on right now as we're recording this, which some people may also be watching the Chiefs and the Ravens as we preview the Broncos and the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's what I do with 3 and 3 out. I kick on the Monday Night Football and then I watch you guys at the same time. It's a fun way to. It's a fun way to enjoy yourself. And I hope you're enjoying watching the very fast Mr. Worthy. And we think about sweet things. It is sweet to have football season back. Love September. Not only is my birthday month, I have to get older every year. I mean, I guess you get older every day, but the number goes up in September. I look forward to birthday for me, kind of, but I especially, way more than that, look forward to seeing my favorite team play real football. And so, what if, gentlemen, week one is sweet like candy? There's so many candy choices we could have come up with. If you haven't seen a seasonal what if before, we will have our gentlemen, our answer givers select a category. Behind them is something very loosely related behind these categories. I just went with 6 candy types. I had a lot more to choose from, but we ended up with gummy bears, M&Ms, of course, in honor of Coach Mike, Sour Patch Kids, Starburst, Almond Joy, and Mr. Goodbar. Now, I can't say I love all these candies, but I started getting hungry thinking about candies. Brandan, week number 1. It's week number 1. Your name, Brandan, starts with a B, which comes before Clinton, which starts with a C. At least that's how I do my alphabet in the United States of America. So, Brandan, you will pick the very first category for season 1. What if? What do you got?
All right. Well, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, my favorite candy, not on the board.
Yeah.
So I will go with the second choice, which would be Mr. Goodbar.
Mr. Goodbar. I didn't anticipate that. We got a really old advertisement for Mr. Goodbar. Imagine if they were still only 10 cents. Here we go, Mr. Goodbar. What if we set the bar for Mr. Geno Smith? What should we consider a good game for Mr. Smith on the opening day, Brandan?
Yeah, this is kind of tricky because one of the things that we heard from this week, listening to DK Metcalf in the pregame press conferences, is that the Ryan Grubb offense is expected to be based around the run. And so going up against the Broncos, are they going to implement that strategy right away, try and get a good running game going? And if they have success, then that means Geno Smith shouldn't have a crazy stat day like 300 plus yards. If they do get a good ground game going, then I think just a high efficiency and high completion. So I would say 19 of 25 for 250, 260 yards would be a very good game if they do, in fact, implement that kind of offensive strategy. It also means that maybe the defense is working. They're not on the field a whole lot. So we don't have to worry about offensively scoring points fast and in a hurry, and a lot of them. So, yeah, we just have to, beat them, 26 to 3. And if we do that, I think that would be a good stat line for Mr. Smith.
All right, Clinton. Brandan went stats. You could do stats as well. Maybe you want to add a little different flavor to this flavorful Mr. Goodbar category. What's a good game for Geno on opening day?
Yeah, awesome. Great to start. Nice pick, Brandan, because we get to start with quarterback, which why not already, right? We don't know the categories. We don't know what's behind the categories. So just potluck. And all right, so I am going to go with some stats. The stat for me that I'm most interested in, I think, for this game is the balance between Grubb's offense that will want to push the ball down the field and what kind of impact that will have to Geno's completion percentage. 2 years ago, he's right around 70%. Last year, I think it was down to 64-ish, 65-ish, something like that. But he averaged like 67 or so and a half for the last 2 years, way up there in terms of the NFL. I want to see if he could be 68% or higher while still being aggressive, still pushing the ball downfield, which he totally did in 2022. I do want to combo that with a big goose egg where it will matter, 0 interceptions. And this isn't, manage the game, Geno, and check down, none of that stuff. This is aggressive Grubb. I want the combination of aggressiveness downfield, the high completion percentage, and still 0 interceptions. That kind of nice crisp line, I think, is a bit of a secret to our success on Sunday.
Absolutely love it. Clinton, that means you get to go next. I get to pull out my handy dandy green pen and see if I can get it to work this season. All new season, you never know if the technology is going to fail me again or not. Hey, look at that.
Look at that.
We crossed out Mr. Goodbar, making it simple. You have 5 candy choices, Clinton. Where do we go next?
Though I wish it was dark chocolate and it's not, that's okay. At least you do get the almond, the chocolate on the board besides M&Ms. They're going Almond Joy. Let's climb that ladder.
That is cruel of them. They make you pick between missing almonds or missing dark chocolate. I don't know, but I love the name Almond Joy. Here we go. Sure. Almond Joy. What if, Clinton, boy, we're sticking with the Seahawks offense on these questions. What if our run game can bring us joy? How might that most likely happen against this defense, which I guess if you have to say the Broncos are kind of good at something, it's supposed to be run defense. How might that look? How might that most likely happen in this matchup, Clinton?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so convinced that the Broncos are a very good run defense team. And, they got better as the year went on because you can't get worse from that 70-point drubbing where the Dolphins put up like whatever 700 yards and 300 on the ground. But they had several other games where they gave up 180 or gave up to over 200 as the year went on as well. So I don't think they're fantastic. I think the D line's pretty good.
Their DBs are terrible, so they have to be good at something, right?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, and I'm not scared by. I think they have speed at the linebacker position, but I'm not sure that. But they're also kind of light, so I don't think it correlates to like a great. They don't think like great run stuffing defense. That's just not what you think.
No.
But to answer the question, what's going to bring me joy from the running back position? I think is going to be how the coaches, what they decide to do, specifically Grubb, decide to do when it's 3rd and short. I want to see 3rd and short conversions. I want to see like 3rd and 4 and in treated as a run play with the full-on knowledge that if you're between the 40s, you're going for it on 4th down anyway, and you run the ball again. So I want to see some stacked runs. I want to see 3rd down conversions with K9, maybe some Charbonnet, of course, as well. And I would love to see a 4th down conversion. We get to 4th and 1, give the ball to Walker, give the ball to Charbonnet, move the chains, possess the ball, and be run first, mix it in with the explosives that we know we're going to get, the shots to the outside. Move the chains on 3rd and short through the ground. That's it, Mr. Phil.
Yeah, so the balance of the show isn't working out like I thought. I had 10 questions, narrowed it down to 8, and then I went to set it up for the show. I was like, I only do 6 categories for What If. And then you guys picked the 2 offensive questions right off the bat. So that's just how things went. That means there's other things we'll talk about. But what's going to bring us joy, Brandan, from the running game in this matchup?
Well, one thing that brings me joy is seeing super chats. In the chat, we've got our live executive producer, Ryan 911 with the $9.99 super chat. What if we say go Hawks? Go Hawks, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Go Hawks. Thank you.
What can bring us joy? And Clinton took a good one off the board. I would say for me, if Ken Walker is getting touchdowns inside the red zone. So if we get inside the 20s, Ken Walker is out there on the field and we're running the ball effectively down near the goal line, because that's one thing that necessarily we haven't seen a whole lot of in previous years. And I think Walker can be good at it. And if it's a 2 to 3 touchdown day and we are scoring inside the red zone with by running the football, I will be very joyful.
Okay. And do you think that's most likely to happen, or that's what'll make you joyful?
I think it's likely to happen against the Broncos for the reason, we talked about, Clinton, you mentioned how dismal their run defense was the first 6 games of the season. I don't know if they necessarily did a ton to fix it, other than, if they're practicing their tackling and that sort of thing. But when you got Cody Barton there at linebacker, then I would say, let's maybe run Cody's direction a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that. How about that? Okay, Brandan, you got gummy bears, M&M's, Sour Patch Kids, or Starburst?
All right. Well, you did give us a hint that the offensive questions were off the board. I was curious if all the chocolate was offensive related, but I think I just want to take the next chocolate candy off the board anyway with M&M's.
Okay, so you have to think M&M's, it's Mike Macdonald, right? So is that going to be offense or defense, Brandan?
Probably I would tend to lean more defense, but he is our coach, so...
Yeah. He does love our offense. He just lets other people do it, I think. Yeah. Brandan, what if Coach Mike's D is still in the early phase of implementation? How can we best set expectations against this suspect offense? You already said 29-3, so we know what kind of points you would say would be good, but realistic expectations as we're starting to implement this highly complex defense.
I say that just, and it's more wishful thinking of how I think things could go, because I also think that there is potential for the Broncos to move the ball effectively, because with this offense, they're going to try and go to the quick game. I think that just tends to be what Coach Sean Payton wants to do, and it kind of fits into Bo Nix's skill set, and they don't want to be attacking downfield a whole lot, I think, against this defense anyway. So quick game in the pass, and that keeps Bo Nix upright. If he needs to extend plays by using his legs. He has that capability. So I think that we should have expectations that our defense should play well, but there's a lot of question marks that I think we should set as fans. One, can this defense be one that can stop the run? I think it'll be a good test for them going up against a back like Javonte Williams. And then two, can they just around seeing how they defend the quick game? And, is it going to be one of those situations where, hey, if you can get a hand up real quick, if you can, if you're doing tight coverage with that expectation that they're going to play quick anyway, how are they going to kind of maybe sit on some of those short throws?
All right, Clinton. Fan is short for fanatic, so realistic expectations are unlikely. We're all fans. That's part of the whole thing behind the show. But shouldn't we set some expectations for the defense as he's implementing it first game? What do you think about that, Clinton?
I think the answer is yes. I think we should. And I think we do need to be a bit potentially patient, even though it's not a great NFL team at this point, but they're not that bad. This is not a bad roster. Seahawks podcast, flagship show. You guys went into it quite a bit. This is not a bad roster, not a bad team. And if Bo Nix come out and play well, first game for sure. Well, this is I think will be tighter than most Seahawks fans expect. With that said, what can we expect? The things that I think we could bank on are that the team is going to tackle really, really well. I think that's also the barometer we want to go look for is, are we tackling well? Because there's all the misdirection, just the false blitzes, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to cause Bo Nix's clock to speed up, do the check down game, the short game, like Brandan was saying. So then what do you have to do in those situations? You have to tackle. And they have some talent. So Jaleel McLaughlin, right? It's their third down back, 31 receptions last year, but really, really ramped as the year went on as well. He gets a lot of balls his way, and I think it's going to be increased quite a bit this year with Bo Nix and Peyton getting what he wants there. He's good in space. He's a good pass catching running back. So for me, guys, it is that simple, and I want to kind of boil it down to like, what's the barometer? Are we swarming to the ball? And when we have one-on-one chances with tackling, are we being sound with our tackling? If we see that again, I think we're going to win. But if we see that, it portends to a very good thing early in the season. It's the first week. It's very difficult to predict other stuff, but the readiness and the soundness, I think we could bank on that.
Sounds like some patience, and I hope we will have some. But we're so excited to see what the Macdonald defense is going to look like. I think we should be excited to see what it's going to look like by the second half of the season, and enjoy the first half as they get better and better at handling it. Clinton, we have 3 left: Gummy Bears, Sour Patch Kids, and Starburst.
They're all good in their own way. All the chocolates are gone, which I would have taken those 3 off the board first too. With that, I'm going to just pretend that I could get like my favorite Starbursts, because why not? So I'll go Starburst.
Starburst. These are the original. I don't know if you like original, but that's what we have on here.
I do like
Okay, it. Clinton, what if Byron Murphy II can have a nice debut? What can show us that he's a star ready to burst on the scene? Some splashes, some glimmers in game 1 for our rookie, Clinton.
Yeah. So I think it's things that won't show up on his stat sheet. Now they could be, and I'll leave them there for Brandan if he wants them. I think it's going to be some of the things like solo tackles from our linebackers. If you see our linebackers, you see Tyrese Knight out there. We haven't seen Baker one lick. We don't know what he looks like as a Seahawk playing anything yet, right? And Dotson is a really good run stuffer. So one of those 3 guys or multiple of them, if you see them with just an extraordinary amount of solo tackles, why? Because Byron Murphy is just washing away 2 dudes and providing lanes to the linebackers to just go up and do their job. that is going to be a very sound way. It might not be the glitz. It might not be the sacks. It might not be what helps me get my plus 1,200 to 1 odds for Byron Murphy for defensive rookie of the year, which I put $20 on for the heck of it. That might not help my cause, but it will really help our Seahawks. And then you go back and rewatch and you go, why the linebacker so clean? Because Byron Murphy just devoured 2 or 3 guys per play. That's what I'm going to watch for.
Right off the bat, first game, 2 or 3 guys getting devoured. Brandan, what's going to be a nice debut for Byron Murphy in this game?
I guess I have a little bit different expectation just because I think that the way for Murphy to have success here right out of the gate is if they're giving him one-on-one matchups. And I look at that Broncos offensive line and I see Luke Wattenberg, their center. I am salivating for Byron Murphy to be able to go up against Luke. And I think that, if he's, it may not result in a sack necessarily for Murphy, but if he is getting that pressure up the middle and we see Bo Nix consistently flushed outside of the pocket, then I think we're going to have a good day from Murphy just in terms of, if he's making Bo run around, having to look downfield, and I think that's what it'll end up looking like, is just a lot of Bo Nix running around for his life.
Okay. Yeah. Some disruption in the middle, some terrifying, some whispers of what it's like that Russell used to face when Aaron Donald came. Just little whispers of that. Not saying he's Aaron Donald, but some terror up the middle. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, we're down to the last 2, I believe, and I just have to figure out which one those are. We know Starburst is now gone. Brandan, you have 2 to pick from. You're going to leave Clinton with something. Which one are you going to go with?
Oh, we've done mostly sweet. Let's go with Sour Patch Kids.
Love this one. I think we've been hinting at this question all along. Sour Patch Kids, what if we nix Bo on his debut? We're talking about the back-to-back. We're talking about first-round pickers here. Is there one sure thing, Brandan, that can make Bo's day sour that we can do here?
There sure is. And when I think of a couple guys who can make Bo's day sour, it is Devin Witherspoon and it is Reek Woolen, because if they're taking away his first option and, making him go to a second read and trying, and as that defensive line is speeding up his clock, then I think we have the opportunities for interceptions with our linebackers and maybe our safeties as well. And, Devin, he can get in there with Reek too. I think that if we see a couple of big mistakes by Bo, just in terms of interceptions, then that's definitely going to make his day sour, even along with that Denver Broncos loss.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Early quarterbacks have trouble getting to the next read. They really hope the first one. And I think the offensive play caller knows that. They try to make the first one work. If we can make it not work, that's a fantastic call out, Brandan. How about you, Clinton? How can we make Bo no interceptions or Bo's day sour? That's really the question, not necessarily interceptions. I just wanted to say that. Clinton, what do you got?
Yes, we need to mix up Nix for sure. And I'm going to give a little 1-2 punch here, right? I'm going to paint a scenario if this happens, a little bit once or twice, we start seeing this, it's really going to sour Bo's day and make us quite happy as Seahawks fans. So one of the things that I would be most critical about the Seahawks defense over the last, 3 to 4 seasons, one of the things, and not such an obvious one, was that I felt we really started to forget how to bat down passes at the line of scrimmage. It's like other teams are doing it all the time. And of course, against Russ, shorter QB, it happens. But this preseason, I'm watching. I think Jaron Reed always has a good penchant for that. Mafe started getting it done in the preseason, but Mike Morris also. That dude is just uncanny with his ability to be like, okay, I'm in the lane. I know when to get my big mitts up and to knock it down or at least tip it. So I'm looking for a combination here of doing that on like second and long that puts them into some third and longs that might have been third and shorts, but we batted a ball, just 1 or 2, just that disruption of that drive, 1 or 2. But I really want to combo this for the inside straight with a 3rd and long where Bo Nix sails one into the open arms of Julian Love. So it's a little bit of a combo of bat some balls down, because I think Macdonald preaches that, and then watch Bo Nix go do rookie things, and let's celebrate with some love.
Good. Is Big Cat good at that too? It seems like he would be, but I don't know.
Yeah, him too. He just joined halfway through the year last year, but him too.
Fantastic. Well, we know where you're going to go then, Clinton. I guess I could just scribble long range here. Yeah, that's how bad it is when I don't hold it close. But we have one category left. So it looks like Clinton, good choice. Gummy bears. Glad you selected gummy bear. No, it's not Clinton. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Gummy bears. There's the bowl. Tasty, delightful gummy bears. And I can't spell if. I spell it like of, apparently. It's okay. First game of the season. Give me a little break here, Seahawkers. What if the Broncos D-line is winning against our, and to put it nicely, uncertain O-line? How should Grubb make some adjustments? If there's anything I'm most concerned about, it's got to be how this O-line's going to gel together this early on. And why is this gummy bears? Hey, O-linemen are supposed to be dancing bears. I don't want them to be gummy bears, right? I just don't want them to get eaten alive by the Denver D-line. But what kind of adjustments do you think might need to be made in this game, Clinton?
Yeah, great question. I think I'm glad it's here too, because if we're doing a preview show and we're not honestly discussing some of the, at least the question marks of what we look like coming into week 1, then I don't think we're doing our viewers and flock any justice out there.
Yeah.
So great that this is here. I love it. And, it looks like Connor Williams is not on the injury report. Last I heard,
Okay,
I think that was a Corbin Smith thing on his show recently, saying he's not on the injury report and that he might start. It's like, okay, well, we've got a lot of question marks in general. Like, is he ready to start? Is he NFL strength ready? I don't know. We just don't know these things. How will Fant be in his re-debut? We don't know. Who's starting at right guard? We don't know, right? So there's quite a bit of mystery there. So this being a challenge, when you look at Zach Allen, you look at Browning, they have a pretty competent line. They can get after, and they have fast linebackers like Nick Benito. They can cause pressure on Geno. So I don't think he's going to be all that clean. I do want to say too, everybody went gaga over the one series Geno had in the preseason. It was great, but he also had to scramble for his life on one play just to get a check down done against, second stringers. So it wasn't clean from the offensive line. So what can we do? All right. Grubb, I think, would have to uniquely or quickly understand that the 7-step, 5-step, working the perimeter things may just have to be suspended until there's better play. He just might have to get into some more 12 personnel potentially, using the tight ends in that halfback kind of way, little pop passes to LaVisca. He just might have to shorten and condense the risk portfolio, if you will, of Geno holding the ball too long. Now, the nice part is, I think they demonstrated right away they have options. They have things they can go do. But I think that's it. It's like, okay, we need to speed up our own clock. And that probably results in the pop passes, the jet sweeps, and things that, are not so downfield. That's how I think he'd have to adjust and kind of figure out right away, does Geno have the time to do what Penix did? If not, you have to audible.
Brandan, if our O-line is getting eaten by the Broncos, what kind of adjustments do you hope Grubb has ready to go in his back pocket?
Yeah, there's a couple players that I would look to in particular. I'd even go to 3 players in particular that I would get the ball quickly to. And 2 of them are receivers. One of them, LaVisca Chenault, Clinton mentioned. DK Metcalf, another one, because I think of guys in the Seahawks offense that can maybe create within space. And it's DK Metcalf who's, once you get him the ball, he can move some guys around and push the ball upfield all on his own. The other guy I'd like to see get into space, I'd say, get the screen game working if the offensive line isn't working. I don't have a ton of confidence as a Seahawks fan of many years.
You think just because they wear Seahawks jerseys, they can't run screen game? You don't think the whole new coaching staff can change anything?
I would hope so. I don't know. It feels like we would have been able to fix it. I don't know, with a new offensive coordinator, with new offensive linemen, but we've seen those guys change out so many times over the years, it does feel like it's organizational in terms of instead of personnel.
It's the owner's fault.
Maybe. Well, we got, I guess it's still an Allen. So you got to change the owner's last name, maybe. But if the screen game were working, I want to see Kenneth Walker in space, because if he's struggling, if they're winning against our offensive line, not just in the pass game, I would also tend to think that they're winning in the run game.
Yeah.
You got to find ways to get guys open in space like DK Metcalf, like Kenneth Walker, and allow those guys to make plays on the outside.
Sounds great. All right, so that's it for our questions. We didn't get to whatchamacallit, Snickers, Reese's. I had some other candy that we could have done that could have been fun, but these questions won out, which means it's time to remember that last year's pick champion was not Clinton. It was Brandan by quite a bit. He got the award of a hat, which he may still have or he may not have.
I do. I have it. It's just
who knows where it ended up. Yeah. He doesn't know where it is. That's okay.
I do. I bet I can find it. Hold on. No, I'll try and find it while Clinton's answering.
Okay, so Brandan is going to give his what if Super Hawk, which of course is the tiebreaker if they both get if they both are correct on the score. I can't remember. How did I decide the tiebreaker? I keep changing this all the time, don't I? First you pick a winner, pick the score, the nearest the win margin, and then the what if Super Hawk factors in as well. But the what if Super Hawk, just deciding who's going to be someone that shines in this game. That's enough bragging rights in and of itself. Who do you got for our what if Super Hawk, our wish for this opening game against the Broncos?
My what if Super Hawk for this game, Phil, is going to be Tyrell Dotson, our new linebacker, because I think that we haven't talked about him a whole lot. But I think going up against Javonte Williams, I think trying to, if we are moving Bo Nix outside of the pocket, I think the mobility of our new linebacker is going to come into play in a big way. So I'm going to say 8 tackles for Tyrell Dotson, and that will make my what if Super Hawk. And shoot, no, I'm just going to stick with 8. I know I like to go a little bit heavy. I could say, put it in a stop in there too, but I'll make it easy on you because that stat's a little bit harder to pick up. 8 tackles for Mr. Tyrell Dotson.
That'd be awesome. 8 tackles for Dotson. I mean, the team's playing right. Clinton, how about you? Who's your wish, your what if Super Hawk for this first game?
Yeah, I mentioned him earlier, and I'm going to go right back to it because all we need is love, boys. I'm going to float something out there and see if this is accepted as my wish, okay? You tell me if this qualifies. I believe I'm going to go with the wish of Julian Love with a pick 6. Pick 6 in the house. Or, I want to give an or in there, Julian Love, 2 interceptions. Can I get both of those parlayed into one? Are they acceptable? I want to spread the risk a little bit. 2 picks or 1 pick 6, or maybe 2 picks with 1 being a pick 6. I want those combos on the board. Is that acceptable to you, Brandan?
There's that.
Sounds good.
I can't tell what the hat says. I can't remember what I put on it after all this time, but it's something about what if I win, right? Is that what it is? What if I win?
It didn't look.
The viewers on
what if
YouTube
I win? It's got our what
it.
if logo on there, isn't that? Yeah.
It's lovely. It's lovely, actually.
What if I win? And Brandan won. So
very nice. Matches his blue eyes. Very nice, Brandan.
The pick 6, or 2 picks, either one. Totally cool.
Nice.
Time to predict the score. Brandan. What do you got for this? I know you mentioned 29-3 being really fun, but what's your actual prediction? Not what you hope.
29-3. I think that may have been overdoing it just a little bit. So I guess I'll go 26-6.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Okay, you trimmed a little bit off either side, so we'll take that.
A field goal in either direction.
Yep, 26-6. Clinton, what do you got for a prediction?
The funny part is I literally had 26 for our team too, which is just like so bizarre. Cause I'm like, probably a missed extra point in there, and we're complaining about it. I think the Broncos hang tougher than that. I don't think this is an easy game for reasons we talked about, but I do think Bo Nix hangs in and does fairly well. With that, 26-19, still a 7-point victory for our Seahawks. A bit of a field goal fest, a little bend but don't break by our boys back there. And that's it. But I kind of feel, Vegas says it's a 5.5 or 6 point spread. I think they still cover that, and we win by 7. But funny, Brandon, we both landed on 26, which is an odd NFL number.
Not
it
common.
Is, yeah.
Yeah, lots of field
maybe
goals.
Maybe it will mean something.
This
That would be
means
cool.
Love it.
We do get 29 a lot somehow, so 26 might be possible.
Sure.
All right, gentlemen. That's all I had other questions, but those were the ones that we went with. Didn't talk a lot about the receivers. Didn't talk a lot about the terrible defensive backs from the Broncos. Hope that portends something good. Didn't ask for your specific key to the game, but I think we could get a feel for it in your answers. Was there something pressing you, like, I really wanted to talk about this before we sign off, that you were hoping to mention, either one of you?
I'll go with one thing that I think is just interesting is how I really want to watch, and of course we're going to, what is the balance between Lockett and JSN, and who's out there when it's just 2 wide receivers? Like, that's just going to be interesting. Is there the official passing of the torch happening? Is it JSN and DK when it's just 2 wide receivers? Or nope, Tyler just took a little time off, was kind of silent during the preseason, and that's still Tyler's for different reasons. And I just don't know. I have no idea what the answer is. So that's more, I have a thing I hope for, but I'm really intrigued to see what the coaches do there, and how often are we in 11 personnel where it doesn't even matter. So, but how about you, Brandon? Any extra, candies on top?
Oh, sure. I don't know if I would take away anything necessarily with Tyler being on the injury report with a thigh issue. So I think that if we see a little bit less Tyler, it might just tell us that, he's got something that he's been dealing with. But at the same time, maybe we can take something away, and JSN just ends up becoming more of a fixture on offense. I think for that question, though, I think it's just going to take a little bit of time. I mean, the one thing that I'm excited about is, what is this offensive line combination that we're going to see? Are we going to see Bradford out there? Are we going to see Haynes? That you brought that up as it being a mystery.
Yeah.
I'm ready to know. And if it is Bradford, I am kind of curious too, if Haynes ends up making an appearance on the left side ultimately. And if we have a really young offense then going into these next couple of years.
Biggest concern is it your biggest concern is it our inside linebackers or our offensive line?
Offensive line is still the bigger concern for me.
Yeah, mine's linebackers. They're both the 1 and 2 for sure. Linebackers a little bit more, and it's the why is because of what I think Peyton wants to do. They have some talented tight ends. They have the 3rd down back in McLaughlin, and and it's a new defense with 3 different dudes learning it for the first time ever. The propensity for a mistake in coverage is definitely there, and it could get exposed a little bit. So that's why I choose that one over the offensive line. How about you though, Phil?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think if either one of those are mediocre, that side of the ball can be really good. Thankfully, I feel like middle linebacker these days might be the least important group on the defense. That's hard to say, but I love that our D-line is looking good. I love that our defensive backs are looking really good. I think as long as the middle linebackers can do the right thing, this defense can be very, very good. I don't think you can have a great offense if your offensive line is one of the worst. So they need to get at least pushing toward mediocre for our offense to do all the things that are, playoff winning type football. So I'm concerned, but that's what the first few weeks of seeing how our offensive line comes together is going to determine how excited I can really get about this season being more than just a build up to next.
For sure. And before we do Jet here, I think you mentioned the word excitement. Brandon, you in that baby blue hat, our Seahawks in their royal blues, not baby blues, the royal blue jerseys at home week 1. Brandon, you should wear that hat every single week. You are the champion. You look great in it. And it was a gift after all, right? It's lovely. And I do want to remind folks too. So if you're here for the first time ever, or again, the 12th time, doesn't really matter. Subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Of course, you get the audio in all different ways. And Brandon, if folks want to join the fun, what's the best way to join the fun?
You can join the fun by going to getintheflock.com. You can help support the show that way. $3 and above gets you into our Discord where, gosh, we have all kinds of fun on game day, talking just throughout the game. We've got the Pick 'em League channel. We've got places to put your ins and outs for 3 in, 3 out, the show that we do following the game as we talk about some of our favorite moments from that game. And I believe we also have a What If channel there too. So that way, if maybe you have some questions that you want answered going into the game, you can drop those in there, and maybe that'll help Phil.
Some wishes.
Give us some wishes. Yeah, your What If Superhawk. That's another component that we throw into this.
There you go. So getintheflock.com. Join so you can join us on Discord and Facebook. If you're in Discord, drop your wishes in the wishing well so Mr. Phil can incorporate them. And gentlemen, I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
What if we say, go Hawks?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks! Go Hawks!